Hi and welcome to Priori Digital Studio tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to set up and use your client tracker spreadsheet in the most efficient way. In this video, I am using Google Sheets, but the Excel version is exactly the same. First thing, we protect most of the cells where there are formulas to make sure that you don't erase any important formulas that could impact the spreadsheet. So if you see this message, it means you are not supposed to touch it. But don't worry, I will show you step by step how to prepare your spreadsheet. If indeed you do touch a cell where there are formula, you can simply click on X and you will be fine. Another warning, please do not move a cell from one place to another. If you do move a cell, it could generate an issue by messing up the automatization of the spreadsheet. The best way to avoid these errors is to copy and paste your data. Now let's take a look at the Setup tab. Within this tab, you'll find multiple tables that are essential to populate your data in the following tabs. All these tables are grouped by category. For example, client data, emoji pool, task data, project data, leads data, and invoice data. The emoji pool, the second table, enhances the visibility of your task statuses. If you wish to incorporate new emojis, you can simply do so using websites like Emojipedia. So now I have the website here, so you can simply type in an emoji that you wish, let's say a smiley face. Then click on enter, and then as you can see, the website proposes a few smiley face, so simply choose the one you like, then click on copy, go back to your spreadsheet, and then go to the next empty cell, and then simply click on Ctrl and V. And as you can see, the new emoji will be added to the list. For the rest of the Setup tab, you simply have to enter your data manually in these tables. In the case of task statuses, you also have the option to select an emoji from the drop-down menu based on the emoji previously entered. No worries, if you forget to enter information in one of these tables, you could still come back to add more informations later. So now let's take an example together and enter a few information. So the first thing is the currency. We are in dollars, so hence why we put the dollar sign, but let's remove it and enter in again. So as you can see, you simply type in the information. Let's say you are in another currency symbol, simply type it in. Now let's enter some information in our setup data. So let's go to the task data and enter another person in charge. So let's write Jessica Jones, for example. Good. So as you can see, you simply have to type in the information. Let's take another example. Let's go to the right into invoice data, and then let's type in credit card. I think you see the drill. You basically do the same thing for all the tables. So now let's take a look at the client database tab. I will skip the dashboard first and we will come back to it at the end. So in the client database tab, you will be able to enter all the data of your clients. So simply enter your data manually and select the appropriate data when you have the possibility with a drop-down menu. So let's take an example together. So let's enter a client name, let's say John Doe, and then a phone number, whatever. And then same thing for the email address. So let's say johndoe@gmail.com. And then what type of client is John Doe? So let's say a VIP client. So as you can see, you can simply use the drop-down menu to select your client type. And then let's do the same thing for all the information about the address. Simply type it in. So let's say apartment 1. As for the street, let's say Linton. Let's say Vancouver for the city. This is in British Columbia. And then the zip code, enter whatever information. And then let's say the country is Canada. Here we go. You see the drill. If this client has a company, you can enter the information here. Let's say best company ever. That's the name. And the industry is, let's say, manufacturing. Good. So on the right-hand side of this table, as you can see, you will find the only column that is automated, and it represents the amount that this client pays you. So this information is directly taken from the Invoice Tracker tab that I will show you later. And as you can see, the cells is in light gray color, meaning that it's automated. It's going to be the same thing for the whole spreadsheet. So if you see a cell in the light gray color, you do not have to enter in information. And as you can see, you also have a little bit of space to take notes if needed. On another important note, if you don't find the right data in the drop-down menu, simply go back to the Setup tab and add the right client types or industry or anything in the drop-down menu within the Setup tab. So now let's have a look at the top of the page. As you can see, you have two pie charts. So basically, you have all the information about your client types distribution as well as the industry distribution. You can also see the total number of clients. And finally, one of the most important features of this spreadsheet is the ability to filter and sort all your data in every tab of this spreadsheet. So to access this feature, you simply have to click on the filter button or drag on the right side of the spreadsheet. In this section, you will be able to see all your clients and sort them by type, company name, industry, or even by amount paid. You can also customize this filter and also sort all your clients by ascending or descending amount paid. So let's take an example together. Let's select a type, let's say new client. As you can see, all the data are filtered. You can filter them even more. Let's filter this by company name. Let's select Quantum Innovation. And as you can see, we only see one client. So let's remove all these filters. You can simply delete this information. And now let's filter this by amount paid. Let's click on less than $100. So as you can see now, we have a few clients that paid less than $100 or $100 and less. And then let's filter with custom. So in this feature, you can write a minimum amount and a maximum amount. So this way you can really target a range. So let's type in $50 and $500. As you can see here, we have a few clients that are in this range. And then we can also sort them, let's say ascending. So as you can see, all the data are rearranged from the smallest to the highest amount paid. Now let's take a look at the lead management tab. So similarly to the client database, in this tab, you just have to enter all your data of your leads, either manually or with the drop-down menus. So let's take an example together. Let's write John Doe. Again, let's write a phone number and then an email address. Let's say johndoe@gmail.com. Now let's use the drop-down menu to select that status. Let's say started. The lead source was from Facebook, and then the last contact date was February 8th. So as you can see, you can simply double click on the date and the small calendar will appear. This is only in Google Sheets. If you are using Excel, make sure to type in the date. So then let's do the same thing for the next follow-up date. Let's enter 15th of February. As you can see, you also have some room for notes. Let's say good lead. So once you enter a few data, you can scroll up to the top of the page. As you can see, you have two pie charts to represent the status of your leads as well as the sources of those leads. You also have your total amount of leads right here. To filter your data, the principle is the same as for the client database tab. So simply click on the filter button or drag to the right of the tab. You will be able to sort your leads by status, source, and set up a specific date range. So let's use the drop-down menu in status to choose a status and filter our data. So let's click on Lost. Then we can filter a little bit more. Let's click on Lead Sources and click on LinkedIn. So as you can see, we have all our data filtered. So we see that we have two status lost and both of them are from LinkedIn. So now let's delete this information so we can filter other things. So simply click on Delete on your keyboard. And as you can see, all the filter will be removed. So now let's filter our data with the filter last contact dates. So let's double click and choose a start date, and then again choose an end date. As you can see, all our data are filtered from those dates range. You can do the same thing with the filter next follow-up dates. Now let's have a look at the Task Tracker tab, which offers a user-friendly interface. You simply need to input your tasks and associate data such as the client name, status, and due date. The system automatically calculates the days left. Additionally, you can specify the priority, the category, and the person in charge using the drop-down menus. There is also a specific area for the completion date and for notes if needed. Upon completing a task, you can easily mark it by ticking the checkbox on the left side of the table, resulting in a strike-through effect. At the top of the tab, you'll find task statistics represented through a bar chart that represent the task priorities, as well as two pie charts, one sorting tasks by status and the other illustrating distribution per person in charge. At the top of the page, you also have your overall task completed, as well as the number of tasks that are due today. So now let's scroll down and add another task. Let's enter something like write follow-up email. So let's use the drop-down menu to find a client. As you can see, it's sorted alphabetically. So let's find our John Doe from earlier. As you can see, as soon as we click on John Doe, his company is added automatically. Now let's use the drop-down menu to select a status. So let's click on hold, and then let's select the due date. As you can see, the date is highlighted in green because it's today's date. Then in the day left column, you can see that all the days are calculated from the today's to the due date. So since the due date is today, it's 0, but let's change it for in 2 days. As you can see, the little number 2 is written. So now let's click on the drop-down menu to select their priority. So let's click on medium. Do the same thing for the category. Let's say it's business, and then the person in charge is gonna be Jessica. And then in the task completion date, this date is supposed to be the date that you finished a task. And since this is due in 2 days, the task is not done yet. Hence why I will not write a date here. However, if let's say we finish the task today, so I could write today's date. Let's say if I finish. So today we are February 10. And then to see a visual effect of this task being done, I can simply tick the box. And as you can see, the task will be strike through. And then lastly, you have some room for notes if needed. So let's scroll up to look at the filter feature. So to access the filter, it is the same principle as the previous tabs. So simply click on the button or drag to the right. As you can see, there are a lot of filter possibilities in this tab since there are a lot of different columns and information. I will not go through all the details of every filter possibility, but basically you can filter all the columns you have and even sort them by due dates from ascending or descending order. So let's take a small and easy example together. So let's click on completed tasks. So let's click on the checkbox, meaning all the completed tasks. So as you can see here, all our completed tasks are listed. Now let's use the due date between feature. So let's simply write a date in January, and then the end date will be in February, the beginning of the month, let's say. So as you can see, this is also filtered out. And then finally, let's sort this ascending. So as you can see, all the dates are filtered from the earliest to the latest. So from the 10th of January to the end of January. And don't forget, if you want to remove the information from the filter, simply click on delete on your keyboard. Then delete everything. And as you can see, all the information will reappear. If you have a lot of data, this may take a few seconds. Now let's take a look at the communication log tab. In this tab, you simply have to manually enter all your communication with your clients, except for the communication type, which is a drop-down menu. Just like the previous tabs, you can also filter these data. The filter feature is still on the right side of the page. This tab is a little bit different since the filter selection is not on the top of the table, but is on the left side of the table. But the features are exactly the same. You can filter the dates, the communication type, and sort the date ascending or descending. So let's take an example. Let's type in the beginning of January. So for the end date, let's select the 5th of January. So as you can see, all the data are filtered. And then as for the communication type, let's select text. Good. And then let's say you had more data, you could sort them by ascending date or descending date. So now let's take a look at the project/service details tab. This tab will help you assign a project to a client and track the status and the schedule of each of them. This tab has a lot of information and is quite wide, so don't hesitate to drag your mouse to the right and have a look at the whole tab. So in this tab, you simply have to enter the name of the project or service, the associated client, the time frame of the project, the progress, the status using the drop-down menu, the description, the person in charge, the project type, and category with the drop-down menu too. After that, you can enter the budget and the actual cost of this project, as well as some notes if needed. So this tab will really help you be able to track all your projects in detail, even including the costs. So at the top of the page, you can see the number of projects due today and the overall number of projects completed. These data are taken from the left-hand side of the table where you simply have to tick the checkbox when the project is done. So let's take an example. If we tick a project, as you can see, everything will also be strike through, and this little part here, the overall project and services complete, changes. You also have 3 comprehensive charts, one for the project status distribution, the second is for the project manager distributions, and the last one is for your budget versus your real expenses or actual cost. So now let's fill in a few data to show you how it works. So for the project, let's call this new venture. Use the drop-down menu to select a name, and then let's simply select our John Doe from earlier. As you can see, everything is sorted alphabetically, so it's easy to find. So then let's double click and choose a start date, and then choose a finish date or due date. This is the completion percentage. So if you just started your project, it could be 0. But if you already started working on it, you could be like 20%, for example. So let's select the status. This is in progress. And then write some description. Let's write difficult project, need more help. Then let's use the drop-down menu to select the person in charge. Then use the drop-down menu to select the project type and then the project category. And then let's write a budget, let's say $1,000. And then let's say that we already spent $500 on this. Good, and then the last column is for notes if needed. So in this tab, there's also a filter feature, so we can simply scroll up. There is a lot of possibility in this tab since there's also a lot of columns and information. So let's take an example together for the filters. So let's select the completed tasks and click on the cross, meaning the tasks that are not completed. So as you can see, all the completed tasks disappeared. So now let's filter by client name. So let's use the drop-down menu and click on John Doe. So as you can see, we only have one task that is not completed for John Doe. So let's remove this filter. Don't forget, simply click on the delete keynote. Then we can also filter with the budget. So now let's filter with the budget. Let's filter with all the projects that are less than $100. So as you can see here, we have about 3 projects. Let's delete this and then filter custom. So let's click on custom and then type in the minimum. Let's write $100. And then for the maximum, let's write $500. So as you can see here, we have all the projects that are between $100 and $500. Now we can also sort this by ascending or descending. So let's sort the budget and ascending. So as you can see now, all the data are sorted from the smallest budget to the highest budget. So now let's take a look at the Gantt Chart tab. This tab will help you visualize the time frame of each of your projects. You simply have to enter the year and the month you want to see, and all your projects will appear in a chronological order. You will easily see the project's name, the client's name, the start date, and the end date of each project. You will also see the progress and the status. All these data are automated based on the previous tab. So basically in this tab, as you can see, almost all the information is in light gray, meaning that it is automated and you do not have to write any information. On the right-hand side, you will see all the days of the month and the schedule of all your projects. Today's date will be highlighted in blue. So we set up our month in January, but by the time we are filming this video, we are in February. So let's use the drop-down menu to click on February. And as you can see, we will see today's date highlighted in blue. But for the purpose of this video, I will go back to January. So the row representing the projects always starts at the start date and finishes at the end date. So let's take this row here as an example. So the project is Operation Quantum Leap. As you can see, the start date is on January 2nd and finishes on January 12th. So as you can see here, this is represented in the Gantt chart. The green and the pink colors represent the progress of the project. So basically, if a project is in pink based on today's date, it means that you are late on this specific project. Whereas if the project is in green for today's date, it means that the project is on time. These two colors also represent the progression percentage. So as you can see, projects with, like, for example, 98% of progression is almost all in green. But projects with only 10% of progression is almost only in pink. You can also decide to hide some projects based on their status. So if you want to hide all the canceled projects, for example, simply select canceled in the pink table at the top. So as you can see now, we do not see the canceled projects. You could also add another filter. So let's add in progress. Let's say we don't want to see the in progress projects. So as you can see, all the in progress projects disappear. So if you want to remove this filter, simply click on delete on your keyboard and this will be deleted and all the filter will be removed and you will see your original data. You also have a small chart of the project completed. This chart is based on the number of projects at 100% in the progression column. In this tab, you do not have any option to filter your data like the other tabs. Projects are already sorted by ascending dates. So now let's have a look at the Invoice Tracker tab. This tab will help you visualize all your invoices and associate it to your clients. So simply start by entering the invoice number, the project, the issue date, and the due date of the invoice. All the grade columns are automated, like the client name, which is taken from the project tab, the days left, the due amount, and the payment status. Then you can continue and enter data like the invoice amount and the amount paid. The due amount is simply the difference between both, meaning the invoice amount and the amount paid, and the status is automated. You can also enter the payment method as well as the payment date and notes if needed. So now let's enter an invoice as an example together. So let's enter an invoice number and then let's use the drop-down menu to select a project. So let's select the project that we created earlier, so called New Venture. And then remember our client was John Doe. So as you can see, it's automated. So now let's enter an issue date. So let's double click. Let's say today is the issue date and then the due date, let's say it's February 29. So as you can see, the day left is 19. Let's say the invoice was late. you would see the number in red with a minus. Let's say this one. As you can see, the due date is on January 12th, meaning it's late. Now let's enter some invoice amount. Let's enter $1,000. And then let's say the amount paid is also $1,000. So as you can see, the payment status is automated and it's written paid. The due amount is also 0 and there's a check mark in the days left. Let's say that the client did not pay the full amount and only paid $500. In the payment status, you will see it changing to partially paid. And then let's say the client did not pay at all and let's write 0. The status will be changed to unpaid. And then you can use the drop-down menu to select the payment method. And then you can also select the payment date and write some notes if needed. So then now let's scroll up and go back to the top of the page. You will find a few important charts where you can see the proportion of invoice paid as well as the payment status. You will also find the total amount invoiced, pending, and paid. You also have a payment status distribution chart where you can see how many invoices are paid, unpaid, and partially paid. In this tab, you also have the option to filter your invoices. Particularly interesting to follow the unpaid or partially paid invoices so that you can easily send a follow-up email to your clients. All the other features are quite similar to the other filtered from the other tabs. So let's take an example together. Let's filter our data for the payment status. So let's click on unpaid. And here you will have a list of all the unpaid invoices. Let's sort these information or these invoice by due date to see which invoice has the most delay. So we could sort this by ascending or descending. So as you can see here, it seems like we have 2 invoices with more than 30 days delay in payment. Don't forget, if you want to delete this information, you simply have to click on delete on your keyboard. And all the information from your invoices will appear again. Now let's have a look at the dashboard tab that I skipped at the beginning of this video. This tab will help you visualize all your data of the spreadsheet. As you can see, there is a lot of charts and tables to help you easily understand your business. So on the left-hand side, you have all your clients' data, then your projects data, as well as your lead data. Then on the right-hand side of the spreadsheet, you have a task overview table where you are able to visualize your today's tasks and the complete one, and of course the priority distribution. Then in the today's task table, if there are more than 10 tasks for the day, a warning will appear in red. As you can see, it's not the case today. Then if you scroll down, the last table concerns the invoices where you have a summary of your invoice paid, the amount, as well as the distribution of your invoices. There is also a table of all your unpaid or partially paid invoices to easily visualize them and maybe follow up your clients. So that's it. I hope this tutorial helps you easily set up your spreadsheet. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Follow Priori Digital Studio on Etsy and YouTube for sneak peeks on our new templates.